In the last 100 years, we have seen three waves of feminism. The first wave began in the late 19th century with women eager to have their voices heard through the power of voting. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were pioneers in the suffrage movement, organizing a once-thought impossible dream into a foreseeable reality. After nearly 70 years of determination, women were finally awarded their right to vote. 40 years into the future brought the second wave of feminism. With it, a war and many new ideas about the role of women began to detract from the original ideals of Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Women began to condemn their roles in society as sexist. A movement toward equality was launched, which demanded an environment without discrimination.
We're now in what we call the third wave of feminism, and it's a wave where we say no longer are we only equal to men, we are the exact same as men. And this is actually where the church comes in and says, no, you are not the same as men. God created men and women equal but different.
Endow stands for Educating on the Nature and Dignity of Women. It brings women together to discover their God-given dignity and to understand their role in humanizing and transforming society.
A group of women were starting to read John Paul II's writings. We'd never heard of them before, and we loved them. And we kept on saying to ourselves, well, if we love them as much, surely there are other women out there who would love them just as much. And so our Archbishop Charles Chaput, actually gave us his blessing to start this organization.
Terry and the newly established Endow board members began their journey, guided by the Holy Spirit.
In 1988, John Paul II wrote an apostolic letter on the dignity and vocation of women. It's actually called Mulieris Dignitatem. And in this letter, he talks about what did God intend for men and women in particular. And he takes us through how did Jesus treat women? How are we called to live our feminine vocation, basically? Any women that I have taken through an Endow study group and we study this, the writings are beautiful. And you can see in the writings of John Paul II truly how much he loved women and how much Jesus loved women.
Endow began creating simple study guides which have now evolved into authored textbooks. Because of a positive response to the books, the board began to reach out to other areas of women's lives. Study groups meet weekly or bi-weekly over an 8 to 10 week period. No homework is required.
We have to really overcome the feeling that so many Catholic women today have that the church isn't interested in them or in their leadership, and Endow will provide the resources to make them aware that they're loved and welcomed and at the heart of the church.
Well, what we really, I think, became aware of was that there was such a thirst to know what the church really taught. And so once a woman could discover that, just by reading the documents carefully, slowly, discussing them, then they shared it with their families, with their husbands, with their friends. One of the thoughts is if you educate the woman, then the family and the friendship, it radiates outward. The first year, people started bringing their friends and their mothers, their brothers, and we studied one document at a time. We would say, well, what does the church teach? So we'd start with Mulieris Dignitatem, and then we would work through that, and then we said, well, how did John Paul II get formed? So we looked at Thomas Aquinas, we looked at phenomenology. Each time we would take a document, we would just simply read it through, paragraph by paragraph, talk about it. And since I was a philosopher, I was able sometimes to explain words or phrases or make connections. So it was that's how the Endow format really evolved, naturally, very low-key. And then all of a sudden, the women wanted to share it with others. They didn't just want it for themselves. Well, I think one of the things that's absolutely stunned us is how attractive it is to people of all walks of life, cities, countries, small towns, all ages. We've got already one document translated into Spanish, and there'll be more coming, with the hope that this would be a way also to help Hispanic women. We know it's women of all ages, young girls. So that's the thing that it's been revealed to us. I mean, we just didn't expect this. One of the really big keys that evolved as Endow was developing, let's say, is a fascination with John Paul II's new feminism, he called it. It's that woman has a unique dignity which pays attention to the person, the whole person in every circumstance. And it's kind of rooted in her cycles of ovulation, even if she never has a child. Every month she's preparing to receive new life. And he said if a woman can get in touch with that root, she can then, in her own way, in her own sphere of activity, develop her unique way of living out that genius.
I've been involved with Endow since 2005 when we moved to Denver, and I did a Google search for continuing formation for Catholic women in this area, and I came across the Endow website. I called Endow. I was immediately put on a team of women, beautiful women at my parish, and have been involved since then. It's not a venue for us to discuss world religions and discuss relative truths of our society, but we really hold fast to the truths of the Catholic Church. And so it's not that we don't differ in our opinions of this subject or that subject, but it's really a place where we can come together as women and discover in a safe environment the truths of the Catholic Church.
At first, when I got the group of women together, I wasn't sure how it was going to go because I was in an Endow group, but I hadn't been a facilitator. And it's been so exciting to see a group of women, some of which I knew and some of who I didn't, all come together and really form a bond of trust and a place where we could all grow together spiritually. And what's really so beautiful about being a facilitator is that you can watch all of those women grow, including myself. Throughout their spiritual journey, during the time in your group. What I love most about Endow is that it's a program that is for all women for all time. It's for single women, married women, stay-at-home mothers, professional women. And what it does is it really helps you understand what God is asking from you as a woman and how you can really contribute your God-given gifts as a woman to wherever you are in your life, to your workplace, to your family, to your husband, to society. And that's what's so great about the whole program, is it's for all women, for all time.
Both faith and fellowship are integral to our formation as women. Endow attracts women from all walks of life and helps women realize that, no matter what they do in life, they all share a common desire for love and respect. Although society places a high priority on a person's skill, appearance, and usefulness, Endow teaches women that their dignity originates from their personhood. Endow has extended its educational scope to also include women from the workforce who may not have time for a weekly study group. The Catholic Professional Women's Lunches have allowed those who run at a busier pace to still be involved with Endow.
The Catholic Professional Women's Luncheons are basically an opportunity for women to get out of their office in the middle of a work day, to come down to a hotel that's hopefully centrally located so they can get there during a lunch break, and have the opportunity to hear a great speaker, a speaker on a topic of faith, a speaker that encourages the women to be who they are in the eyes of God. And it's an opportunity for them to network with other women, Catholic professionals. They're coming from all different ages. Like I said, there are some who are younger who are just starting out, and there are some who are a little bit older. Most of them work professionally and are mothers, and so we're reaching them in two areas of their lives.
Endow also offers an annual conference where women from across the country come to study, share, and strengthen each other along our faith journey. Endow hopes that this conference will help women to deepen their faith and rejuvenate their souls by experiencing anew the joy of living in the fullness of God's grace.
When girls hear the truth, something about it persuades them. And actually, Pope John Paul II said that the truth has its own gentle persuasion. And so when girls hear this, even if they only have a millimeter of their heart that's open, a seed can come in because these programs are planting seeds of truth.
As we look to the future, it's important for us to do all we can to develop leadership in the church among women. They have wonderful gifts to bring to the church. And because of that, a program like Endow can make our church so much stronger in the future.
For more information on our education program or how you can become a facilitator with Endow, go to www.endowonline.com.